The action being taken by the French and German governments tonight tell us about the state of the pandemic across Europe. Dominique Costoliola is an epidemiologist from the Pierre-Louis Institute of Epidemiology and Public Health at the Sorbonne and a member of the French Academy of Sciences. Good evening to you. And Ralph Reinchez is a professor of epidemiology and public health surveillance at the Hamburg University of Applied Sciences in Germany. Dominique, let's start with you. We heard President Macron saying that each hour counts and that France has been surprised by the evolution of this. Should they be surprised? Should they not have seen this coming?
I think the rise was coming from the early part of September. We knew that something was going on and it's going to be worse if you don't act at this moment. Perhaps what has been surprising is a very quick, rapid increase in the last 2 weeks. And this is probably explained by the change in temperature at this period. But the fact that respiratory virus is more severe around the time of autumn or winter is really not a surprise.
No, indeed not. We knew that was coming for sure. President Macron announced that schools are to remain open. You have been calling for tougher protocols to protect children. Do you agree with the president's decision in this instance?
I think he said that there will be a new protocol in school, but he didn't give any details about that. So we need to wait for those details before we can say whether it's admissible or not admissible. And I think two issues would be the time of meal, because it's a period where you don't wear a mask, and perhaps also sports, because you usually don't wear a mask when you are at sport. And also in France, there was no mask for younger children. And this is also something that we need to see whether or not it will be in the new protocol that will be announced tomorrow.
Do stay with us. Let's turn to Germany and Ralph Reinchez. Chancellor Merkel said that 75% of infections in Germany are currently untraceable. In fact, she said that the track and trace, we were losing the capability to do that. This is a country that was held up as a model. What's gone wrong?
Actually, nothing has gone wrong. Actually, over several weeks, we had a very slow increase in number of reported cases. But after the numbers were reaching levels where the test and trace system wasn't capable to identify everybody and put people under quarantine, the numbers really started to shoot up. So it's obviously a sign that the numbers are difficult to cope with at the moment.
But this issue of only 25% of those infections being currently traceable does suggest that there needs to be a new system of contact track and tracing. Nowhere appears to have got it right. And I wonder whether there needs to be a Europe-wide system that's more effective.
It certainly will be helpful to cooperate at a European level, and this is one of the things which has been forgotten over recent months, I think, within this pandemic. But the areas, you have to see it differentiated in different parts of Germany. Some parts, the contact tracing doesn't work anymore because the numbers are extremely high. In other parts, it's still is working quite well, and we need to get back to a workable level.
Let's talk about the potential impact then of the lockdown in each country. In Germany, the media is calling it lockdown light. Bars and restaurants will close, shops and schools will stay open. Do you think it'll be enough?
This is very difficult to say. I hope so, but the experience from other countries, for example, where lockdown light is being undertaken at the moment, like, for example, the Netherlands, is too early to say whether this really will stop only the increase or will also lead us to decreasing numbers in the future.
And Dominique, what's your view of the effectiveness of the measures that President Macron has announced tonight? Is it going to be enough? Not least whereas before he did talk about, just a few days ago, he said working from home is now advised, but only where possible. Should he have been much tougher?
Yes, I think that's something which is difficult to understand when you are on the public health side, that working home was not favorized, and even more than that, forced whenever it's possible earlier on when we saw the initial rise. So again, he didn't give any detail tonight about what will happen for working home, and again we will need to hear the details to be reassured that all the measures will be enough to control the epidemic.
Ralph Frances, a final word with you. I mean, it does look as though not just France and Germany, but Italy and Spain, much of Europe is going through this second wave. In your view, is anything short of a complete and total lockdown proven to be effective at curbing these infections?
Yeah, we don't. This is the lockdowns really are the measures which have proven to be very effective in the spring, for example. But we need to win time. We need to flatten the curve. We need to come back to where we were in spring, because only then it will be sensible to work towards vaccines being available next year. And therefore, we need to protect people from getting ill too early in this pandemic.
Ralph Frances from Hamburg University of Applied Sciences in Germany, and thanks also to Dominique Costagnola from the Sorbonne, also a member of the French Academy of Sciences.